All right. So while we wait for everyone to turn on their cameras, is it possible for someone to tell me in the chat box what we are about to do this morning? I would like to know. Please tell me. What do you think we're about to do this morning? We're about to have fun. So tell me. Just put it in the comments. I'm going to read. Talk about Black History Month. Yes. So today we are going to talk about Black History Month. Okay. Not just about Black history. We would also, reflect a little bit about the Black future. Okay. We have translation going on in the classrooms. It might be very confusing to hear all the translation at once. Can't we use the chat? Oh, yes, we can. We can use the chat. We can use the chat. I just wanted to, put faces. I just wanted to see faces while the presentation is going on, but we can use the chat. To avoid confusions, we can use the chat. I just want to see, faces to make sure that everyone is paying attention. We can use the chat. Yes, I just want to see faces. Also, could you slow down a little bit for the translator? Okay, I'm going to bring my pace down so everyone can move along. All right, I will take it slowly, a word at a time. All right, so today we are talking about Black History Month, right? Black History Month is Black History. But before we start, I want you to tell me in the chat, when you hear Black history, what comes to your mind? I'm curious. I want to know. When you hear someone say Black History Month, what comes to your mind? It could be a word, it could be a sentence, it could be a phrase. So I need you to just tell me what comes to your mind when you hear Black History Month. Someone said, time to honor the history of Black people. That's very good. That's from David's class. Very, very good. When we talk about Black history, it's a moment to honor the history of Black people, things that happened several years ago. All right. Marina said, a memory about famous Black people. Perfect. Memory about famous Black people. I like that. One student said, bad things in history. True. Bad things in history. You are correct. When we hear Black History Month, so many things run through our mind. So many things come flashing. Another student says, when Black people start coming to Canada. Okay. So when you hear about Black History Month, think about when Black people started coming to Canada. All right. From another student, they say, contribution of Black leaders and their communities. Very good. That's very impressive. I like that. Another student said they think about African nation. True. Yes. Black history is a history of African descendants, right? People from Africa, things that happened to them in the past. So you are very correct. All right, let's take one more comment and we move from here. I'm so happy that everyone has an understanding of what Black history would mean to them when they hear it. We have just one more person typing and we will move to the next thing. We have a comment from Shelly Scott coming in. We want to see what they have to say and then we move forward. Okay, we lost it. All right, let's move to the next one. I want us to take a little time, to figure out these missing words that we have here. This is like a startup activity so we can, get a conversation rolling, okay? So if you look at my screen, you're going to see a couple of words that we will hear or talk about while the presentation is going on. So I need us in our classes to figure out what these words are and put them in the chat box, all right? So put the words together with the missing words and let me know what you think those words are. If you have a meaning, if you know what the words mean, please put it in the chat box as well. I'm curious to know. I want to see. Let's start with the first one. Number one. Let's see who gets number one first. Number one. We have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 letters missing. Future. Yes, that came from Ezel's class. That is future. Thank you. Future. Very perfect. Future. So what does future mean? Let me know. What does future mean? Put it in the chat box. What is future? What is the future? What does future mean? Number 2, someone gave us answer to number 2, slavery. Yes, slavery. You are correct. From room 137. Thank you very much, guys. You guys are, doing a great job. Room 137 says number 2 is slavery. Yep. And Marina also says number 2 is slavery. You guys are doing a great job. Esther Lee came in with number 3, freedom. Very good. I see people are doing the homework. Freedom, freedom, I see. Number 4 came from Ezel's class, Canada. Nice. You guys are having fun. Marina says Canada too. I see. Ezel, the number 5, history. Esther, history. Marina, Davy, Yulia, everyone came in with the correct answers. Perfect, guys. I love this. Okay, so let's take a little time, to understand what these words mean before we, continue. Now, the first word is future. Now, what does future mean? Future means tomorrow. What will happen tomorrow, okay? Future is tomorrow. What is going to happen tomorrow is what we call future. Now, the next one is slavery. Slavery is when a group of people or someone is taken away from their hometown, their villages, their country, and taken to somewhere different, all right? And they are made to do work that they do not want to do, like cleaning, farming, machine operations, domestic chores, maids. So this thing happened several years ago. Yes. Okay. All right. Now, the next one is freedom. The word freedom. 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 Freedom means free. You are free. When someone is free to do anything they want to do, that is freedom. Imagine someone has been held captive for a long time and finally they are free. So that is freedom. Did we get that? Okay. Give me thumbs up if you get the meaning or you want me to explain, again, another word. All right. So let's go to number 4. Let's go to number 4. So number 4 says Canada, and everyone knows what Canada is. Canada is our country. Canada is where we are right now. Canada is our new home. I like that. Canada is our new home. And we are going to be talking about the Canadian Black history. Okay. All right. So let's go to number 5. Are we ready for number 5? Just give me thumbs up if you're ready. Good. Nice. Number 5 is history. What is history? Things that happened in the past. Things that happened in the past is history. Even yesterday is history. Anything that happened in the past is history. Thank you very much. Events in the past is history. So we are going to be talking about history today. Memories, yes. So everything we are going to talk about today is history. But let us start properly. So, what is Black History Month? What is Black History Month? I have the answer on my screen so that our interpreters can help us, interpret what it means to everyone. So, Black History Month is that time of the year when we come together. We talk about the Black history. We talk about the Black people. We talk about everything that happened to them several years ago. We talk about the pain. We talk about the struggles. We talk about the crying. We talk about the fighting. We talk about the struggling to, be who they want to be. So that is what Black History Month is. And it's also a time when we celebrate our Black heroes, Black people that helped us fight for equality, Black people that helped us fight for civil rights. We talk about wonderful Black people. We have a lot, so many. We have so many Black people to talk about. But today, we are going to talk about just few, very small parts of the Black history, okay? Because few hours a day is not enough to talk about the whole Black history, all right? So this is why we celebrate it every year, so that we can talk about new things every year. Now, Canada as a whole did not start celebrating Black History Month when every other country started celebrating Black History Month. So, Canada started celebrating Black History Month in the year 1995. And that was because of a woman called Jean Augustine. Okay? So this is what I want you to do. I want you to tell me in the chat box, what year did Canada start celebrating Black History Month? I want to see the first class to tell me the answer. What year did Canada? Oh, I see. Marina's class came in first, 1995. Great job. Sheila, thank you very much. 1995. Great job. I see another class coming in, room 137. Room 137. Let's see what they have to say. Now, Canada started celebrating Black History Month in 1995. Thank you, room 137. Thank you, Davy. Now, and it's because of this woman called Jean Augustine. She was the first Black woman to be elected in the parliament here in Canada. Okay? And in 1995, she moved the motion for Canada to start celebrating Black History Month, and they accepted. And that was how we started celebrating Black History Month in Canada. Okay, so I'm going to play this video. I just wanted to listen, what people have to say about Black History Month, all right? I hope the video will not be too fast for our interpreters to help us understand.
Black History Month speaks of journey, story, rich history, and although some of that is uncomfortable and painful, and we have a long way to go, I think, in terms of our progress around elements of diversity, but at the same time, it gives me hope.
Black History Month means excellence, pride, equity, equality, and strength to me.
To me, as an American, is about remembering our history, and the achievements of our people, especially now in the climate where there are people who have an objective to erase our history.
For me, it's a nice opportunity to actually look back at my family's culture. So the fact that my dad is from a place called St. Helena, some of their food, some of their mannerisms, we like to kind of talk about that. So I always like to speak to my dad, especially during Black History Month, to sort of say, do you remember that time?
Black History Month for me provides an excellent platform to celebrate, to learn, to help people revisit those conversations. It helps me in my current job to actually celebrate openly with colleagues that may not have the same understanding of how important this is for people of colour.
It also gives people who are advocates of Black people the opportunity to learn about Black people's history. It's a tool for the younger generation to get the real version of their history that they won't get in the education system.
Sometimes it makes me feel sad because I feel that some of the conversations that I had when I was 20, when I was 30, when I was 40, I feel we're still having some of those conversations and the barriers that are there. And I think it's really important for us as a diverse group of people in CMI to actually really understand the people that we're working with.
The Black community have contributed immensely to the shape of the world development until date. And I believe that it needs to be celebrated all around the year and not restricted to just a month.
So this is what people have to say about Black History Month. How they feel, what Black History Month helped them remember. You know, even some people talked about things not changing. You know, things still remains the same from when there was 20 years up till now. So we want to make a change, okay? We want to make a change. And that is why we talk about Black History Month. Now, let's talk about who created Black History Month. The young man that you see on your screen, his name is Carter G. Woodson, right? He created the Black History Month several years ago in the year 1926. Please tell me, what year did Carter G. Woodson create Black History Month celebration? Thank you. 1926. So, Carter G. Woodson was from the United States, and he created Black History Month in 1926. It was first celebrated just for 1 week, only 1 week. After creating Black History Month in 1926, they celebrated just for 1 week. Now, at a point, they realized that 1 week was not enough. There was a lot of things to talk about. So many things to say, so many people to celebrate. So they just realized that 1 week is not enough. So they decided to move it from 1 week to the whole month of February. If you want us to move ahead, please give me thumbs up. If we are good, please give me a thumbs up in the chat. So Black History Month was created just in 1926, and it was celebrated for only 1 week a long time ago. Now they realized that 1 week was too short, too small to talk about everything. So they moved it from 1 week to a whole month of February. So if February is 28 days, we are going to talk about Black History Month for 28 days. If February is 29 days, we are going to talk about Black history for 29 days, right? So every year in the month of February, we talk about Black History Month. All right. We will move forward to the next one now. Marina is typing and I want to read. Okay. If you're good to go, let me know so we move. Thank you, Davy. Thank you. All right, so we're going to the next slide now. Now, we are going to talk about the journey of Black people. Remember, when I asked you to tell me what comes to your mind when you hear Black History Month, somebody said how Black people came to Canada. So let's find out how Black people came to Canada. Who wants to know? Who wants to know how Black people came to Canada? Let me know. I want to see. Who wants to know how Black people came to Canada? Some of them are nice. Some of them are really not nice, right? Okay, so let's find out. How did Black people come to Canada? If you look on your screen, you're going to see very handsome looking gentleman. His name is Matthew Da Costa. This man was the first Black man to come to Canada. Look at him. The first Black man to come to Canada. Look at him. Very gentle, with his nice heart. He walked into Canada in a boat. One day he decided, guys, I want to go to Canada. He picked his books, his clothes, his shoes, everything that he owned, and he came to Canada. Right? He came to, okay, someone asked me, where was he from? So the history didn't record exactly where Matthew Da Costa was from. They said he's from the East Coast. But there was something very peculiar about Matthew Da Costa. He spoke more than 7 languages. People were so amazed at the kind of languages he could speak. He spoke so many languages. English was part of it. French was part of it. Some other languages from the African country were part of it. And everybody was so excited and, fascinated. How can one person speak more than 7 languages? So what happened? He became an interpreter. Matthew Da Costa became an interpreter. Now, do you think he was doing something good in Canada at that time, or he was doing something bad? What do you think? If he spoke more than 7 languages and he started helping people interpret, was it good or bad? Yes. Marina said good. Yes, it was good. People loved him for, helping the government interpret other languages to people who couldn't understand their languages. He did it for so many years until the next group of Black people came to Canada. I need someone to guess. Tell me, I need you to guess. How did the next group of Black people come to Canada? Let me see. The first person to get it correct, I'll clap for you. Let me see. Guess. You don't have to be wrong or right. I just want you to guess. How did the next group of Black people come to Canada? Drum rolls. Let's see. Now we already know the first Black man to come to Canada. He came alone, no family, no children. He came just by himself. But I want you to guess, how did the other, now after him, another group of Black people came to Canada. So how did they come? Did they fly? Did they jump into Canada? What brought them into Canada? I want you to just guess something. Okay. Nobody has been able to guess something. Yes, someone said by sea. I agree. They came by sea. By boat. True. They came by boat. All right. A student says some people came as refugees or as students or as workers. Okay. So now, refugee as students or workers, this is happening in our present generation. Okay. So we are talking about in the 1600s. So many thousands of years ago, how Black people came to Canada. The first Black man, Matthew da Costa. Someone said maybe they came in the ship in hiding. Not really. They didn't come in the ship in hiding. So let's find out. Okay, are we ready? Let's find out. 1, 2, ready? Let's find out. So if you look at the screen, you will be able to tell that the next group of people, Black people, to come to Canada, they came as slaves. Remember when we talked about the word slave? Now, the white colonial masters, they went to so many African countries and they took Black people forcefully from their homes and brought them to Canada. In a boat, through the sea, they brought them to Canada. They put chains on their hands, tied chains on their necks, on their legs. They brought them to Canada by force. They didn't want to come. Most of them didn't want to come. Nobody wants to be a slave. But they brought them as slaves. So the first Black man to come to Canada came by himself. But the next group of Black people to come to Canada, they came as slaves. Slavery happened in Canada for over 200 years. 200 years, Africans, Black people, they served in Canada as slaves. They didn't have a life of their own. They were serving the colonial masters. They were maids. They were farm workers. They operated the machines. You know, so many years ago, a lot of things were manually operated, hand operation, even the heat. You know, Canada is a winter place. You know, it's very cold. So imagine in the winter, so many years ago, we didn't have heaters. There were no heaters. So they were using the local heat, firewood, machines. So Black people were meant to do all those things, all those kind of jobs that the white man didn't want to do. So after so many years, over 200 years, Canada realized that slavery was no good. Now they decided to stop slavery. They decided to abolish slavery. The word is abolish, and abolish means stop. They decided to stop slavery. So that time, we now had what we call freedom. Black people, they rejoiced. Everybody jumped up. We are free. Everybody is free. We can go to school. We can get the job. We can live in a proper home. We can fend for ourselves. We don't need to work for any master anymore. Black people were free and they were so happy. I can imagine how excited Black people were when Canada abolished slavery in the 1800s. So, when people in the United States, Black people in the United States, found out that Canada has stopped slavery, so many Black people in the United States and other parts of the country wanted to run and escape to Canada. Because once you come into Canada, you are free. You cannot be called a slave anymore. So everybody wanted to come to Canada. But how can they come to Canada? If the police catch you, they are going to take you back. So a woman called Harriet Tubman, very kind, very nice, very calm, a good woman, Harriet Tubman. She decided, alongside with some other people, to create a pathway. They call it the Underground Railway, the Underground Railroad. All right? So they created this secret pathway. Now, the Underground Railroad is not a real road. No, no, no. It's not a real road. It was a secret road, very secret. It was a secret road. Harriet Tubman, the name of the woman that helped people escape slavery, Harriet Tubman. Now, Harriet Tubman created this secret road, yes. And whenever the information goes out, she prepares everything and she helps people, Black people, escape into Canada. So only people who went through the Underground Railway knows exactly what pathway they followed, right? So you can imagine how long it took them to run from United States, every other part of the world, escaping slavery into Canada. Because I don't think they would be able to board the train. If they board the train, someone is going to catch them and they will take them back to their master. So they have to, secretly find a way to escape. Now, Harriet Tubman was able to help over 700 Black people escape slavery into Canada. 700, that's a lot of Black people. So, the first Black man to come to Canada was Matthew Da Costa. After Matthew Da Costa came, another group of Black people came through slavery. Now, after slavery, another group of Black people came through the Underground Railroad when they were running away from slavery. So how many things did we talk about now? Who can tell me? How many? How many pathways did we talk about that Black people came to Canada several years from? And which one do you think was the most painful? I would like to know. Which one do you think was the most painful of them? Think about it. Imagine you were there several years ago. Which one do you think would be so painful? I already know what I think, but I want to hear from everybody. Yeah, someone say slavery. True. Ooh, someone say underground, the underground way. Yeah, that could be painful. Yeah, really. I didn't really think the underground railway would be painful until today. The first one, no, because Matthew da Costa came by himself. Matthew da Costa woke up one morning and decided to go to Canada. Nobody forced him to Canada. He came by himself. Now, slavery would be one of the most painful because they forcefully took them from their home. Probably they were crying on their way down here. Maybe, especially the children, they'll be screaming, Mommy, Daddy. Some people were taken without their family. So maybe slavery was the most painful. Okay, but someone thinks that the Underground Railroad would be most painful because it is dark and you do not know if the police will catch you. I agree. So even if you are escaping slavery, you are so scared and you are so worried, you're emotionally broken. You'll be wondering, what if the police catches me and they will take me back? That's true. I agree with you on that. So you can see how difficult it was for the Black people several years ago. But today, in our generation, Black people come to Canada for so many reasons. And somebody told us before, they come as refugees. If you know, you can put in the chat box. If you know how you came to Canada, you can share with everybody. Some people come as students. Some people come as permanent residents. Some people come as workers. Some people come as refugees, people running away from war, from bad things that are happening in their country homes. All right. So if you know how some people are coming to Canada today, please put it in the chat box. Let's hear from each other. I came as a student. Yes. So I came as a student. That is how I came to Canada. So today, so many people come to Canada for different reasons. Exactly. Someone said through different government programs. Correct. Helen said as a student. Correct. Another person said workers. Correct. Yes. Refugees. Perfect. We also have people who are seeking asylum, the asylum seekers. All right. So today, there is no slavery. No slavery, but people are coming to Canada every day. Black people are coming to Canada every day. Some people just come to visit. I know people like that. They come to visit, they eat nice food, they go shopping, and they go back home. All right. We will now move to the next slide. If you want us to move ahead, just give me a thumbs up in the chat box so we can move. All right, thank you, Matthew. So somebody will be wondering, after Black people became free and they are no longer slaves, what did they do? What did Black people do? They did a lot of things. Some Black people went to school. Some Black people became chefs. Some of them owned businesses. Some Black people started working in different parts in Canada. Some Black people, they built houses in Canada. There was a place in Halifax called the Africville, where Black people were known to live several years ago. Although it was not the best, but they were able to put up something for themselves. They didn't have a lot of heat. They didn't have so many things, but they were still striving. They still work so hard. Very, very hard. Okay, so I want to tell you a story about a woman called Viola Desmond. Viola Desmond was one of the greatest celebrated Black women several years ago because of her courage, because of her strength, because of her impact. All right, so let's watch the video and we go on from there.
November 8th, 1946. Viola Desmond, an entrepreneur from Halifax, is on a business trip when her car breaks down in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. Forced to stay overnight, Desmond decides to pass the evening at the movies. She buys her ticket and enters the downstairs auditorium.
The ticket seller followed her into the theater and stopped her and said, "You can't sit here. You can't sit on the main floor." She went back and she said, "I'd like a main floor ticket, please." And the white ticket seller said to her, "We don't sell main floor tickets to you people."
In a spontaneous decision, Desmond turns and enters the downstairs theater. The manager is called, and a policeman.
She's very small, very feminine, very elegant woman. And this white burly police officer grabbed her by the shoulders and physically dragged her out of the theater onto the street.
She's thrown in jail and she's left there for 12 hours. She was probably in a state of shock. I mean, you're stunned. What could I have done to deserve this?
In 1946, Viola Desmond is a woman ahead of her time. She owns a hair salon, a beauty school, and her own line of beauty products.
She was a thriving businesswoman. Her own car, her own shop, her own school. She had visions just to expand across the province.
But despite Desmond's personal success, racism and discrimination continuously undermine the human rights of Black Canadians.
Segregation means separate. And Blacks and whites were separate. The racism in the United States was truly in your face. In Canada, the racism is very polite. It's sort of undercover.
Communities like Halifax's Africville are neglected, deprived of routine services given to white communities. Blacks are denied admission to businesses, and many schools and neighborhoods are segregated. But racist policies in Canada aren't fixed. They vary with the time, the place, and the context.
Some of the Black people in Canada have said it was actually worse in some ways in Canada because you never knew when you went into a restaurant or a theater, was it segregated or not.
After spending the night in jail, Desmond is brought to trial the following morning.
She's not given her rights. She's not told she can have representation. And she was found guilty of defrauding the government of 1 penny.
1 cent. The difference between the upstairs and downstairs amusement tax.
And nobody admitted it was about race segregation. It was all just about tax evasion.
Desmond appeals with support from prominent members of the Halifax Black community. Ultimately, the case goes before the Nova Scotia Supreme Court, which refuses to reverse the conviction.
She described herself as bitterly disappointed.
The impact on her was severe. Before this incident, she was just somebody in the prime of her career. She could go very far. It seemed like it all stopped on that day.
Desmond gives up her dream of a chain of beauty salons. Her marriage disintegrates, and eventually she leaves Halifax.
She's clearly a heroine, but it's not easy for heroines. She paid a great deal personally for this case.
I think Viola Desmond's impact on racial inequality was a great one. It opened up the doors and gave people that opportunity to say, you know what, we're going to stand up and we're going to fight for our rights.
In the decades that followed, groups like the Black United Front and the Nova Scotia Association for the Advancement of Colored People continued the fight for Black equality in Canada. In 2010, Lieutenant Governor Mayanne Francis gives Desmond a posthumous free pardon, an admission by the government that she was wrongly convicted.
It took all these years for a woman of color to free her. And my only hope is that she's at peace.
Okay, I will give our interpreters a little time to explain what the video means to people who might need a little bit of clarification. And I will be dropping some important information in the chat box in case they need it. All right? So, Viola Desmond was a very great Black woman. What happened to her was not the best. She only wanted to see a movie. And when she got there, they didn't let her buy the tickets for the main floor. So when the government pardoned Viola Desmond, they put her on the $10 deal. So let me know if you have any question about Viola Desmond so we can talk about it. Or you want me to move ahead, you can give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Ask me any question about Viola Desmond. She's a great woman. She fought for civil rights. She fought for civil rights for the Black community. And after the whole situation happened, she lost her family. She lost her businesses, her beauty salon, her beauty school. She lost everything. Even her family too, her husband, her children. At a point, she left Halifax. She had to leave because it was a lot of pressure. And she didn't want to plead guilty. So let me know if you have any question about Viola Desmond. I wish we have all the time to tell her story, because it's a very interesting story that will encourage every one of us to fight for what is right. That kind of story that will encourage everybody to build a future that everyone will be happy in. A kind of story that will think about the well-being of everybody. Okay, so someone asked the question, what did Viola Desmond do for employment or civil rights activism after she left Nova Scotia? Now, when Viola Desmond left Nova Scotia, because she was already like sentenced, I don't know how to explain this, like the government already sentenced her and labeled her like a criminal, like, you know, she committed a crime. So because she committed a crime, she lost so many rights to do so many things. Her beauty school gave a lot of people employment. So this is how she started fighting for civil rights. Her beauty school, she had a salon. She had a beauty school. And she employed a lot of Black people. She was teaching a lot of Black people. And she actually wanted to expand the business to other parts of Canada before what happened. Now, when she finally left Nova Scotia, she was sick. But she didn't stop there. She tried through the Black community to fight for appeal. She filed for appeal. She put in, you know, messages to the government, telling the government that what they did to her is not good. But everything she tried, the government turned it down. They wanted her to say that she's guilty, but she refused to do that. She said she will never plead guilty because she didn't do anything. So she was never pardoned until she died. Now, in the year 2010, the government of Canada realized that what they did to Viola Desmond was wrong, and they pardoned her. Can you imagine? After she was no longer here. They pardoned her, and they said, you are free. She was pardoned in 2010. However, in 2018, the government put her face on the $10 bill. So if you have $10, you're going to see Viola Desmond on the $10 bill. When you go home, check it. When you go home, check your $10. You're going to see Viola Desmond. And one day during my presentation, I met someone from Viola Desmond's lineage. And I was so happy. I was so excited. So the next thing we are going to do is to celebrate some wonderful Black people like Viola Desmond. Black people that did great things. Black people that made history. I'm seeing a comment from Sheila. Yeah. But the comment is not coming up. Do you mind typing that again? Okay. She said her experience was so upsetting that she gave up her business and moved away from Halifax. Correct. The situation was heartbreaking. Her family, her husband left her. She gave up everything. And she was sick. I forgot to mention, when the police were taking her out of the cinema, she broke a part of her waist and she became so sick. She struggled with pains till she died. Okay, so let's talk about some wonderful Black people that did great things that made history several years ago. The first person, Michel Jean. Drum rolls, Michel Jean, the first Black Governor General of Canada. Please clap for her. She deserves to be celebrated. After all the civil rights fighting, struggling for equality, Black people getting into government, Michel Jean became the first Black Governor General of Canada. The next person is Jean Augustine. Jean Augustine. First Black woman elected to Canada's parliament in the House of Commons. People who are very familiar with politics, you understand what House of Commons is. And she served in that house for over 5 years. And she was still the same person who moved the motion about Black History Month, the reason why Canada started celebrating Black History Month today, in the year 1995. She was still the same person. Okay, let's look at this one. Lincoln Alexander. Look at him, very handsome man with his wonderful suit and tie. Elegant. He was the first Black person to ever be in the a member of the parliament. If you know, the parliament is the decision-making arm of government in Canada. And he was in the House of Commons, the first Black man to enter the parliament. So Black people, they didn't stay quiet. They went to school. They went into politics. They wanted to make things right. They wanted to create change. They wanted to fix the world. Come on. They wanted to fix it. They wanted things to be better. And now, our own Viola Desmond that we just talked about. The first Black, in fact, the first woman ever to be on a bill, on a Canada bill, like first woman on Canada money, first woman. Very elegant woman. So next time when you are shopping with $10, I need you to be proud of Viola Desmond, okay? Don't ever forget Viola Desmond. If you want to get $100 from the bank, tell them to give you all in $10 so that you can have so many Viola Desmond in your pocket. And the last person we are going to talk about is Willie O'Ree. If you know Willie O'Ree, tell me where he's from in the chat box. Tell me, where is Willie O'Ree from? We talk about Black people that did so many good things several years ago. And we cannot talk about Black history without talking about Willie O'Ree. Tell me, where is Willie O'Ree from? Let's see. Fredericton. Oh, yeah. Who said that? Take high five. He's from Fredericton. Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. Also, what high school do you think Willie went to? What high school did he go? And what sport did he play? I need you to discuss this in your classes. What high school did Willie go to? What sport did he play? Some people are getting the answer correctly. He went to FHS, Fredericton High School. Yes. Some of us have children in Fredericton High School. So when you drop off your kids in school, you need to remember that there was a great Black man at Fredericton High School. And he played hockey. He had an accident so many years ago, and he lost a part of his body. I don't know if anyone knows. Can you tell us in the chat? What part of his body did he lose? What happened to that part of the body? Okay, and we are almost coming to the end of our presentation today. Yes, he lost his eyes. Yes, 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 he lost his eyes. Okay, so we cannot talk about the future, the past, without talking about the future. So, like we said, the future is tomorrow. What will happen tomorrow? So, if we want a great future, if we want a future where the things that happened in the past will not happen again, we need to work together to promote justice, to support one another, to make sure that we are allies. We need to create equity. We need to be an upstander. We need to make sure we are promoting inclusion. Remember, the small things that you do, the small good actions that you take can create a big change in the world. Just have that at the back of your mind, okay? So that we can create a better future together. All right? So I know that the teachers have this activity. This is a word puzzle, word search. I gave it to Ling, and she must have given it to all the teachers. So I have few instructions. I need you to work together as a team. Find these words in the puzzles. Use your pencils, to circle the words. And behind the paper, I want you to make short sentences with these words in respect to Black History Month. I will give you an example. The number 1 says freedom. So you're going to make a sentence with freedom, and you're going to say something like, the Black people received freedom. Okay? This is what I want you to do. But before I go, do you have any question? You can put it in the chat box. I will collect all these worksheets from the teachers, and I will look at it, and then I will give it back. Okay? If you have a question, you can put it in the chat box, so you guys can, do the activity as a class, as a team. Then the teachers will collect them, and I will look at it and see what you guys said. I will see the sentences that you made, right? I can't wait to read all of them. Let me know if you have any questions. I have another presentation soon. Thank you for listening, and I hope you go ahead and have a wonderful Black History Month for the rest of the month of February. I hope you learned something today. I hope we learned something new today. You can tell me in the chat box one thing that you really love about things that you learned today. One thing that made, a lot of meaning to you today. You can also tell me what you would do differently and how you're going to create change that will help us create a great future.